We got two more overreactions I want to get to. I'm going to start with this because I do just want to talk about Kentucky really quick. It felt like they kind of righted some things a little bit against Louisville. And I know it was against Louisville, but it's against your biggest rival. Jacob Toppin got it going a little bit. It just felt like watching that team put up 86 points was a little bit different than what we've seen from them before. Tio, how are you feeling about Kentucky moving forward and where are you at with them? No. Fan's just saying no. Fan's just shaking his head.
No, it's so hard to gauge against Louisville because they don't play any help side defense. Like none. So like you're not really you're not.
If we're going to give flowers to Kentucky for the win over Louisville, like, are we going to do that for Florida State and other teams in the game?
Lipscomb? Can we give Lipscomb their flowers? Lenny Acuff?
Stetson?
Yeah.
No.
Come on, man.
You got to prove
nothing?
Man. No, there's no overreaction. You can't overreact to a win over Louisville. Like, here's the thing, and we talked about this on After Dark Sunday night. You can both say that we've been harshly critical of Kentucky and that the reason why we're being harshly critical is that because we put them on the level that they would be Final Four caliber this season. Nobody's saying that Kentucky doesn't have the personnel. They do, and they put up 80-plus points against a team that's not good defensively and doesn't have anywhere close to the talent they have nor the firepower. And it's a rivalry game. I don't care how good or bad Louisville and Kentucky are. It's going to always move the needle. Kind of like what we saw to a much lesser degree, but like still, like Georgetown, Syracuse got a bunch of viewers. Why? Because it's still, to the random fan, to Joe in Texas, who just likes college basketball, he still tunes in because he doesn't know any better. Like he literally doesn't know any better how the teams are. That's why they put the games on TV as is, because Kentucky's always going to draw. I'm not going to sit here and say that we learned nothing. I think that Kentucky's got the pieces, Rob, to be a team that makes a run in March, but they've got to show it against the strong competition, and they've got to show it in the closing moments. Do they have three-point shooting? Yeah, they do. They possess the pieces to be a very successful basketball team. That's why we were as harsh as we were of them earlier this season and have been this season.
I don't know.
Interesting game coming up next for them, LSU, who's been playing really well.
I don't know if they necessarily possess the pieces. That's kind of where I'm at with this group at this point, right? Like I don't know. When you already have Safir Wheeler and Oscar Tshiebwe on the floor together, and then your tweak to fix things offensively is to throw Lance Ware out there, move Chris Livingston to the 3 and playing with Kason Wallace. Like, instead of leaning into 3-point shooting, you're going the exact opposite direction to say, hey, let's shrink the floor as much as we possibly can. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing here, T.O.?
Yeah, it's crazy. You just look at the numbers. It just doesn't add up. Like, it's the craziest thing ever. They need to shoot free throws better. They shoot free throws better, they probably win. Now, all the losses, they've lost pretty handily. So, like, that, it doesn't really change much. But their numbers are fine. That's kind of the crazy thing about it. They need to shoot free throws better. We'll see how they kind of continue to go forward. It's a perplexing matter because there's a lot of coaches that would love to have 4 or 5 guys shooting 37% and up. Like, interesting.
You did go 4 for 13 from 3. I mean, again, against Louisville of all teams.
And he only played 6 guys double-figure minutes. I thought that was telling too against the Louisville team that they beat by 23.
Mm-hmm. And what is I'm just asking this because I did not watch this game live. Is CJ Frederick hurt?
Yeah, he did something to his finger. Was it broken or whatever he did? It was bent in a way that it shouldn't have been bent.
Which finger?
I think it was. I'm not sure which one. I think
shooting
hand.
It was
pinky. Yeah, shooting hand.
Yeah. And it's so painful for a shooter, man. I dislocated my thumb in France in the middle of the second quarter, and this knuckle right there was sitting on top of this knuckle. Yeah. And I went off to the side, and they pulled it and they put it back in, and I tried to walk back on the court, and they made me sub out. They taped me up. I went back in. I couldn't catch the ball for a month and a half. I shouldn't have played. Like, it is such a painful thing to have something on your shooting hand. Yeah. Much more so the thumb than the pinky, but you get what I'm saying.
You know what?
I will say this, though. The last thing I'll say on Kentucky is that after the Missouri loss, if you look at who they started against Louisville, and that basically the 6 guys that they played, it was about but everything that you could ask for when it comes to the small ball lineup that they're putting out there, right? Wheeler at the point, Sheway at the 4, and then it was Keeson Wallace, Antonio Reeves, Chris Livingston, and Jacob Toppin that played the minutes from at the 2 through 4 spots, which is, I think that's what we wanted at the start of the season, right? That's kind of what we wanted to see. You got a couple shooters out there, you got guys that are versatile defensively, so we'll see if he ends up sticking with that.
They'll beat LSU at home.
You think so?
Yeah, and that shouldn't. Let me say something right now. If they don't win that game,
they don't win that
12-1. Game, they're going to beat them. Yeah, LSU's 12-1, but it's a little bit of an inflated 12-1. Let's be honest.
Just beat Arkansas.
Yeah, an Arkansas team that
without Nick Smith.
Yeah, take a look at Arkansas's bench right now.
Beat Wake Forest.
How many bench points did Arkansas score against LSU?
Oh, I don't know.
Didn't they come back from like 25 down against Wake Forest?
Guys, they don't have a bench. Look at the stats. Arkansas does not have. They literally do not.
No, we're talking about LSU.
Yeah, they did. They're a good team. Kentucky needs to beat them at home.
You could throw them into the mix of hey, they might make the tournament.
Oh,
well, yeah. All right, let's talk about that. I want to talk about
Kentucky should be the team that might make the tournament. If Kentucky loses, let me tell you something right now. If Kentucky loses on Tuesday night, the world's going to burn in Lexington. Because these fans are tired of it.
Set those couches on fire.
Rob, will After Dark be fuming at Kentucky if they lose at home to LSU?
Yeah, probably. I also think that Kentucky fans are kind of bordering on the level of apathy more than I can't remember who said it, but there's some famous author whose line is the opposite of love is not hate, the opposite of love is apathy. And I feel like there are some Kentucky fans that are saying like, look, we care a little bit more about football and maybe
it was indifference. Was indifference a quote or was it apathy? Same
thing.
But
if Kentucky fans are apathetic, that's problematic.
Yes, I think that's what you're kind of running into. Is it just there's only so many times you can get completely beaten down by a basketball program without seeing any hope in sight. So hopefully there will be hope in sight here.